when we talk about content, it's important to define what type of content. Is it like content, like video content, like text content, like images, etc.? What about best practices when creating content, impact of content optimization on user experience and conversions? And we will see different examples showing that depending on who you are and what type of product you sell, there are some kind of differences, because sometimes the content is just here for SEO purpose, and obviously, and it's fortunately, I would say, most of the time content should be here for content, but Zohra will tell more about this. And we will then see how to measure the impact of content optimization and the website performance, because that's sometimes an issue that we can face is like, okay, I've produced like hundreds of content, but what about the ROI, and how can I measure it so that I can prove it was useful? So I think it's important to cover these two. And so Zohra, I will give it to you back.
Yeah, and what type of content are we talking about? So thank you, Louis, for this presentation. I'm happy to do this conference with you because we are very complementary. I will talk about more maybe the theory, big principles, and then you will show some concrete examples. So that's good. So what type of content? Here we are going to focus on text content. Every kind of content is important. You have seen it this morning with the other conference. So video is important, image is important, and text. If you have a mix of everything, it's the right thing to do. So when we talk about text, every website needs different types of content to be successful, and each type differs in its required quantity and quality. And if you are running different in different countries, in different languages, then this is multiplied by the number of languages. So normally you will have a mix of every kind of content: product description, category description, expert content, etc. Whatever type of content, it has to be relevant. So how do we make it relevant? Next, we make it relevant first by knowing your audience. I think that's the first question, the first thing to work on when starting a content strategy is defining your audience. So knowing your audience will help you create the right content for them and the relevant one. And content relevancy means know the user intent and serve that intent. For instance, if I'm going doing a trekking in the mountains and I have a tent, I want to learn how to set up my tent, and I'm looking how to set up a tent when I go in trekking in the mountains, and then I'm looking in the internet, and then I find an article where I can see a lot of advice on different types of tent, etc. But I don't find my information I'm looking for. So how to set up the tent? So what I will do, I will quit, and I will find another page that gives me my information. So content relevancy means really answer the user intent, provide the added value to the user, and address the right target persona. The persona means how you define your main target, and you can have several personas. So defining your audience will help you discover what they want. Yes, next slide, what they want, and know their intent behind. This is really, really important to know their intent. So there are several ways to define a persona and know the user intent. First of all, you have to use your brain. Sometimes we forget to use our brain. So just use your brain and use your colleagues' brains. It can be also a good idea. So do a brainstorming with your team, sales department, marketing, client service. Everyone in contact with the user or can give you any ideas. So this is useful information that you can use in your strategy. Observe the markets. Is the reader, the user, using some social networks in particular, and what is his behavior, etc. And finally, analyze the keywords. So important way to do the business is to do the job is analyze the keyword, and there are a lot of tools to do this, and Ahrefs, SEMrush, etc. So you have plenty, and smart keywords, you have plenty of tools. So why is it so important to know your user intent? Not only to answer the user, but also because Google likes it. So a quick reminder, really quick reminder about EAT. So maybe you have heard about it already. So EAT means expertise, authority, and trust. So we suggest focusing on ensuring you're offering the best content you can. That's what our algorithms seek to reward. So you can read the guidelines. It's a bit long, but it's interesting, and this will help you assess how your content is doing from an EAT perspective. So you have to stick to these three EAT criteria to make sure your content is good content. So to make a long story short, next slide, your content must be the best ones. So people should become really addicted to it. They want to see your content. They want to come back to your site, to a website, and read what you are telling them. So Google will display web pages in their search results based on the authority and relevance of the page to enhance the user experience. We have told many times today about user experience because it is important. So how does Google measure authority and relevance? The relevance of your page means your expertise. You need to show you're an expert in what you say, and Google will analyze the content, the quality of the content, and he will analyze different factors, including where and how often you put and how often you put certain words in that piece of content. The authority will refer to the links pointing in your website, in the page, and how trustworthy those links are. And trust is how trustworthy your website is. For instance, you have an HTTPS, positive ratings, legal disclaimer, securized payment, and so on. So this is the important things that will make your website compliant to the EAT thing. So in practice, how does it work? So first of all, you have to put some fresh content. So I'm really, I don't know if you can hear this music. Okay, so fresh content is a good thing. So add new content regularly to your website, and you can also update your existing content, or if you cannot update all the time, put evergreen content. So, but update is good because you create reasons, and adding new content is good because you create reasons for your users to come back and consume even more content. And you also show to Google that you regularly update your content. So no doubt Google will appreciate it. Next thing, no duplicate. Of course, no duplicate is not a good thing, not a good idea. So don't do duplicates. It's a basic thing to remember. This is penalized by Google, not directly, but you will lose some position, or your content will not be visible because Google will choose only one of your content. And by the way, if you're an e-commerce website and you are selling your products in your website and also in marketplaces, make sure you have different descriptions, because you have almost no chance to be ranked before Amazon. So unless if you can do that, show me, show us. So and also be careful inside your old website that you don't have also duplicate pages inside. And for your information, Textbooker has 3 non-duplicate tools in its platform. So we almost guarantee that the content is a unique one. Next important thing, Google is text addict. Yes, he's a text addict, and for him, definitely size counts. So what does it mean? It means that there is a correlation between the size of the text and the rankings in the search results. So I put here a little chart. I don't know if you can see, but basically, if the longer the size of the article is, the higher the ranking is. And we also notice it in Textbroker. We have more and more demand for longer articles. But this doesn't mean you need to write only to write. If you have nothing to say about the topic, then don't write. If there is nothing to say, and if you say things that are not interesting enough, what will happen is that the reader will not stay. He will be annoyed, he will be bored, and he will quit, and then the bounce rate will grow, and that's damageable. So write good content, valuable content, but all wrong content, but only with valuable information inside. Next thing important, what the text appeal. Yes, your text must be appealing. We want to read your text is appealing us. You have to grab the attention, to capture the attention, to hook the reader. And there is a very simple thing to do this, and it's simple, but that works. It's the inverted pyramid. So you put the main information right on the top of the text. So main information will you will have to answer the questions like where, what, when, how, etc. And this means that you speak about what is important first, and then little by little you give more details about the topic. And of course you put some CTA everywhere in the text in order to grow your conversion rate. Next thing, be dedicated. Yes, we know you have keywords to put in the text. We know it, but when we read the text, we should not notice that there are keywords. It should be really natural. So be careful when writing the text, and we're giving a text to write to an author, that the tone, the style is still good, and that we do not notice that the keywords are here. So be soft. Next thing, hey buddy, look at my great titles and subtitles. Again, always choose catchy headlines. We said it before in the different conferences, but that's so important. You have to put catchy headlines and that are appealing to your audience. And if you can, it's a good thing to choose titles that will answer the user query, but don't do false promises. If you promise something in the title, then you do what you promise in the text, in the paragraphs. Okay, and the same goes for summaries and meta descriptions. So something appealing, something catchy. Next thing, we have a connection. I get you. So a perfectly readable and understandable content. So how do I do to put readable and understandable content? So you have to use short paragraphs, for instance, not too long. One ID, one paragraph is the principle in writing text. Short and clear sentences. It's not always possible to put short sentences. You can put long sentences, but don't make it complicated. If we have to read 3 times your sentence to understand, that's not good at all. So short sentences is better. If you use long sentences, make it clear. Bullet points, we had also great information today in the conference. Bullet points are really important because the reader has a visual memory, and we have the main points right there in bullet points. Using bold to put some words above. Spelling mistakes, of course, to avoid grammar, syntax, even if Google is totally capable to understand, even if there are spelling mistakes, but for the reader, it's awful. It's really awful. So, and at the end, read again the text, be it you or someone else who wrote the text, read again in order to remove all unnecessary information. The text, in order to be good, in order to be better than the other, needs to give only valuable and necessary informations. And we talked about the storytelling. This is also a good thing in a text if you are in a position to build a kind of story, put the product in a situation, make the reader imagine that he's using the product, that he's in a big alley with a nice dress with birds singing, etc. was a good idea. So create some emotions around the product or the service you are going to sell. Next thing, it all started with a briefing. Yes, the story starts here with a briefing. Why is it so important? Because in the briefing, that's all information about your brand image. In the briefing should stand everything, your unique selling proposition, your added value. How do you address your audience, your style, your tone, adapted to your target groups, okay? So this is your brand image. And everything should be mentioned in the briefing. All the more since sometimes you have your own authors, and most of the time you have several authors, and you can also outsource to several authors. And it's complicated if you have different authors. If we don't have one single guide and briefing, so you will have more chance to have something very consistent in your content if you put it in a clear briefing, and then the author will adapt the style, the tone of the voice. I put a link here to with a briefing from Text Broker, a briefing generator. If you don't have any idea how to start a briefing, you can use this and then add some more information related to your company. Other thing, multi-device. I'm not going into details, but just the big lines. Of course, the content must be readable on desktop, tablet, smartphone. If you did everything that I told before, catchy headlines, bullet points, most information important at the top, you should be mobile friendly, so it should be okay for mobile as regard the text. Make sure your website is responsive, ensure proper segmentation of articles H1, H2, H3, very important for compatibility multi-device. So creating good content is good, but sharing it is twice as good. So next step is then create awareness around your content. This is the next slide. That look, I am so famous, so everyone needs to know that your content exists. So share it, share it, share it. Promote your content on social media channels, of course, where your audience is. This is we always come back to the audience. Evaluate strategies for using influencer networks, or sometimes you can use your own staff to become experts and influencers. And consider also link building. This is important. You have great content, but you have to put some juice to make it even more effective. So link building with trusted and high authority links. We're almost done for my part, but still two points. So here is a kind of summary of what I've said of a well-optimized SEO content. So in a well-optimized SEO content, so of course the content itself is important. Give valuable information targeted to your audience. You address your audience. You have searched for the right keywords, the right intent, and you address this intent. So you use the semantic topic all around the topic, all the words around the topic. You give useful information, you answer the questions, you solve their problems. So this is what should stand inside the text. You put the keywords, you put some links, internal links, external links, use the H1, H2, H3, H4, etc. Using an image is also good, or a video, or both is even better, because one image equals 1,000 words. And social sharing buttons. Pay attention to have a good title, good URLs with keywords, meta description that is self-explaining, and pay attention to the speed of the page. And you can also use the structured data, but that's another long story that I won't go deeper here, because there's a lot to say. And put some call to action in your text again. And if you're going international, because here is a digital marketing link for international businesses, so going international, next slide, what to consider is when you do your local research, is doing it when you do your keyword research, is doing it locally, so adapted to the country. And of course, you should propose your content in all languages that you are working in. So you do translation, or you can do also French content. If you do that, use native writers. I won't write any content in English, neither in German, even if though I can speak, but I'm not a native, okay? So you use only native writers and editors to do this, and you do it right, or you don't do it, simply. And what we do not advise is maybe machine translation. It depends on the type of content. Some type of content is okay for machine translation, but most of the time if you have an article, a blog article, for instance, machine translation is not natural enough. And if you want to translate only parts of your website or only part of the shopping process, is not a good idea at all. So do not do that. Translate everything or nothing. Okay, so I try to be fast in order to give you some time, Louis, to give some example in practice. So if you're okay, Louis, that's your part to give all the great examples that you have.
Perfect, thanks a lot. So I'm going to detail the in-practice option, but remember, I will need your help on some of the aspects at some point in time, but I know you will keep listening to me. And
I won't sleep. I promise I won't sleep.
Cool. Yeah, so let's give you some examples. I will try to show you as many websites as I can, so that you can see in fact, in practice, what Zohra was mentioning theoretically. For example, we have often issues with product pages on e-commerce websites because, in fact, we just put back the content of from our PIM or from the data we have into our back office, but the content is absolutely similar on the one website to the other. Here, two famous French websites, Cdiscount and Fnac, for Apple AirPods, which are tremendous products and with a high basket. People don't take the opportunity to customize the content, and I wanted to show you an example of typically here Best Buy, who is doing something absolutely great, because obviously when you have a catalog of like thousands of products or multiple thousands of products, you can't customize every product. But in fact, when a product has a high basket or is one of your best products, you should take the opportunity to modify it, whether it should be for SEO, SEA, or just for conversion purpose. So here you can see nearly 40K reviews that are organized by, in fact, different categories, question and answers, which are dedicated here, and you have like 500 questions and answers, other products, etc. So what I mean by this is that it's possible, and it's interesting to think in these cases that how you can generate useful content. And the question and answers thing is really great, because it's what we call user-generated content, like reviews. And if you finally, like every social network, it's really great to benefit from what people can bring to the page, because it's also unique content, etc. And then you can focus more on giving fantastic product descriptions. Another example from Vanity Planet here, you have the user guide, typically, that brings content and that can also help for conversion purpose. And something that I found very interesting is like they integrate their feed Instagram. So it can add content that is visual and that will bring added value, show the product in real life. And so this can be out of interest if it's relevant for your type of activity. So what I mean by these two slides is just to say product pages are not meant to be bad, in a word. I wanted to show you an example of a great product page to me, which is it's a French client, but you will see what I mean anyway. So they are selling pillows, And typically here you have multiple images. You have classically, you understand that you are on an e-commerce website because clearly the call to action is to add to basket, obviously. But then you have like an incredible story about how this pillow was made, conceived, etc., designed. Then you have description, but description that is really great and not like poor SEO content. Keeping the description, some advantages with some other details, policy about delivery, clients, 5-star ratings, a video. So this is really great, and I will show you in a few minutes how we can measure this. Typically by the time spent on page, meaning that when we analyze the KPIs of teddy bears, here this kind of page is like 3 or 4 minutes on each product page. So in fact, the videos are really seen, and it's rare compared to what competitors do. So this is also a mean of to differentiate yourself. Then you have also content about what differentiates you from your competitors. Some internal linking with some other products, but not like dummy images. And then you have, as I showed you for Vanity Planet, here images of clients that have posted it on Instagram. You then have the technical things with the details of it's a French fabrication, what are the components, etc., etc. And I will show it to you later. You also have a link to more dedicated, let's say, editorial content about a guide on how to choose the best pillow for your night. And here you will have lots of questions that you can ask yourself before buying a pillow. What are the pros and cons? What is good to be the size and the different characteristics. And so we will see that this can be useful both for your client and for SEO purpose, obviously. I also wanted to mention you some websites that are doing like, okay, I'm an e-commerce website, and I don't want to bring too much content, on my product listing pages, because it has a reputation, and which is more than partially true, that it's purely SEO content. And so, in fact, even for the user, it's like bad, because you force me to scroll, and I will never read this type of content. We often put this content at the bottom of the listing, and I mean that's this can't be satisfactory. What can be done is to say, okay, I give to the user what he wants, like very few content, or at least not, but I will develop a product page or a content editorial page that gives you a guide about what product to buy, which one will help you serve your purpose. And so the match between editorial and let's say product content, the good thing is that Google really understands, in fact, what content serves what intention. And in fact, you can rank 2 pages on the same keyword in terms of SEO, because Google will rank the page in terms of the intention, and is good enough to know what you should do depending on what the user types. I wanted to give you an example here of Evaneos, because on the mix of editorial and commercial content, I think very often the tourism websites are the very best one, because they were very like in advance compared to e-commerce, because we are more used to buy, in fact, travels than e-commerce, like in the early 20. And so here, what I like, in fact, in terms of SEO and also in terms of UX and conversion, is the fact that clearly Evaneos here is here to buy, to sell, in fact, travel guides. But they also have, they have like 200 destinations. So it's a very complex website in theory, but they make it very clear and simple by having like a mini website by destination. Here it's only for Croatia. And you have like a travel guide with useful information. when to go, what to pack, etc. When you have a look at when to go, they give you information about SEO, etc. And you're never far from, in fact, having some inspiration about, hey, come on and take this trip with us. It's only like 800 euros, etc. So the travel guide is really something that I think they implemented with great success. So here you see the URLs are really clean too, because you are in Croatia, holidays, essential information, and if you like at traveler reviews, you will be on the feedback option, etc. But you have a way to target both the very competitive keywords like Croatia holidays, other competitive keywords like Dubrovnik, like how to go to Dubrovnik or visit Dubrovnik in a tailor-made tour, etc. And you also put your editorial content next to the commercial one. And in terms of SEO, it's absolutely fantastic because you have what we call a semantic silo, which is very relevant, and it's also relevant too, I believe, in terms of UX, UI, and conversion. It's always not very easy to do it for e-commerce websites, and this is why I showed you this example just before, because this is what we see most often, meaning you have a hierarchy with your product hierarchy and a link to your blog section who takes back the hierarchy key to of the product. I wanted to mention also that in terms of SEO today and in terms of content, one should not forget about social medias, because obviously they are really part of the game today. And here you have also Google being more and more clever about the intent, as Zohra said before, so that when your brand is becoming more and more desirable, in fact, so by here it says in the French underground, a publicity by Teddy Bear, or here I will talk to you in a sec about Bergamot. In fact, Google understands that there is a lot of traffic coming from him for people not asking for a pillow or mattress, but asking for Teddy Bear or for the name of your brand. And this is a huge signal for him, saying that, okay, maybe then when people is looking for a mattress, it may be good to rank Teddy Bear because he knows that people love Teddy Bear. Typically, here we work with a client that is called Bergamot, who is present in French and in France, and in Germany. And in fact, he has a great popularity on Instagram with 126k followers, whereas the French leader has only 20k followers. And in fact, we can see that in terms of SEO, the domain authority and all the reputation of Interflora is much greater than Bergamot, but Bergamot is wanting better, notably because in fact Google has understood that people want this brand, and this brand is desirable. So it is absolutely important to leverage from your social media popularity, should it be the case, obviously. So let's talk a few minutes about the impact of content optimization on the user experience and the conversion rate. Zohra,
yeah, yes, and in that strategy, the keywords analysis is really key. And when doing the keywords analysis, you have to make sure you're targeting keywords that will meet the user intent. Again and again, we will repeat this several times. And you gave an excellent example here with Teddy Bear, where here the case was that Teddy Bear was so famous that the people, the brand image, the brand is so known that people are directly searching for the query Teddy Bear and not pillow or mattress. And this is important information when you analyze the keyword, and you know that you can produce content with Teddy Bear inside. And you should analyze the search queries, and also analyze what your audience is, what words your audience is using. If you're trying to put some keywords, like if you're selling shoes, you think that the user is looking for shoes, but in reality they are looking for sneakers. That's another example. So you have to analyze, to well know again the audience and analyze the search queries and to target the right ones that will meet the user intent. And it's not only the interest of the keyword, but also the durability. If you are targeting a keyword that has a lot of interest, everybody search for that queries. The search volume is very, very high, but there are too many competition. If you go inside that that place, you won't be able to rank because there are too many people. So you have to think of, this is a bit of strategy. Think, yes, what's the interest of the keyword, but what's my possibility, my chance of ranking on that keyword. So maybe you should better choose a long tail keyword. There will be less research on that keyword, but you will have more chance to rank on that keyword. So the long tail, middle tail is something that you should take into account when doing the keywords analysis. And okay, so example with you.
Yeah.
Maybe?
So what I was mentioning also about the popularity of your brand is also there was another thing that about the popularity. It's about great content, meaning you all know, I guess, that today the bigger you are, the best it is in terms of SEO, because the basis of the algorithm is like page rank, and the more pages you have, the more basically page rank you have. So big websites with great reputation are let's say natively favorited by the algorithm compared to a new brand like typically a teddy bear with who has only a few products to sell, but let's say a great little brand. Thing that is great is that typically the algorithm by default does some ranking, but since 2015 there is a part of the algorithm which is called RankBrain, which is AI based. And what it does, because in fact many of you, and typically me here, I am in Chrome, so Chrome belongs to Google, and this is a mass majority of people who are in this web navigator. So when you are both in Chrome and looking in Google, in fact Google has all the information. What do I mean by this? I mean that if you type like best maths ever, and people click on the first link, then on the second, and they don't like what they see. So basically what we call this pogo sticking. It's like I click on this, and I say, okay, no, not good. Okay, too long to be too long. Casper, wow, okay, no, okay. So here Google understands that in fact the content he proposed to you does not fit your needs, because you get back to him. And then if in fact you click on, I don't know, on les prix moins cher here, and then you say, oh, okay, pretty great, and you navigate through the website, and maybe you go through your basket, etc. What he understands from this is that, okay, if many people do what I've just done, he will understand that basically we should do this. We should rank les prix moins cher first or second, and put them back, because in fact even if the algorithm said, okay, this result should be great, then Google says yes, but algorithm is one part, users are the most important thing, and they decided that it was not relevant, so that I will put them back. So it's really important to track this, and typically in tools like your Google Search Console, it's important to check what we call your CTR, which is your click-through rate ratio, because typically what we know is like if you are first one on Google on a competitive request, you should get approximately 30% of the click, then second like 25, third 20, etc. And so if you see that you are a third on a given request and that you have only 10% of the clicks, it means that you have an opportunity to optimize for instance, your title tag or your meta description tag. I will talk to it in a minute. Or also that you need to do it because there is a risk for you to be deranked in a way. So it's very important to check, and not only for SEO, because I believe you all check this in your Google Analytics or whatever tracking tool. You want to check for your pages that people are spending time on your page and that your bounce rate is not too high, or at least that the combination of the time spent and the bounce rate is good. Meaning, potentially, what can happen sometimes is that people spend a lot of time, but you did not give him any call to action, so that in fact the bounce rate is very high. But if the time spent is really great, it's already a first thing. What is really bad is like when your time spent on page is inferior at 30 seconds and your bounce rate is high, it means that Google will hate you soon. Zohra, maybe if you want to.
Yes. Also, to complete in the keywords analysis and content strategy, watching your competitor is key. This can give you valuable education and useful information for your content strategy. So quickly document the best practices of your competitors, discover what type of content they are most likely to share, and identify maybe influencer. I'm going faster because time is coming short.
Yeah. Should we stop at like 55 or can we go to 3? We will see. If
like 52, 53, that'd be great. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. So I will. I will go very quick on this. What I meant by all this is that Zohra told you a few minutes ago that what was very important is to select carefully your keywords on which you want to write your articles. Meaning, in fact, what we do in terms of SEO is like I will show you a client with whom we are working, which is a famous French insurer. It's called Alan. What we want to avoid is exactly what they do. They have a blog with content like here it is the newsletter, here it is an article about advices for our children, here it is an article about Instagram feed, etc. And this has no SEO purpose. What we like to do, in fact, in terms of SEO, is to think about, okay, how will I bring people to my webpage without knowing who I am? So I will think about requests like here it is for the health purpose, typically on what is the what we call sorry, I don't know how to say in English, mutual for when you are working in your enterprise, and we have kind of standardized title, meta description articles because all of your content is dedicated to bring SEO traffic, and so in fact you know the keyword that you are targeting before writing your article. And I think this is really important so that in fact you can measure the impact later on. And how can you measure? It's here it is a screenshot of our tool, but there are many tools on the market. It is the fact that you will put all of your keywords in fact into Google regularly, and you will check that your positions, meaning your rankings, are going better weeks after week. So meaning, okay, I was a 25 on this request, and then I moved to the 5th position, and then the 3rd position, etc. So that you can also adapt your content from time to time, because you can also sometimes like write 800 words, and see like 2 or 3 months later that you maybe can add 200 more words and gain some few positions. So when you know exactly, and I will take back the example on the last minute I have about Evaneos, when you write an article about best place to visit in Italy or find a travel agency, you travel to Italy, in fact, the SEO tags, what we call SEO hot tags, like the title tag, is very important because it will help Google understand that you want to work for the request best places Italy, for instance, and it will also in fact imply a great thing for your CTR because you give the information to your user right now that he will the content he will find. So please really take care about the title tag because it's really easy. It's really a quick win. So I invite you to do it. Same for what we call meta description. Here it is a less standardized thing, meaning that you are not obliged to to put lots of keywords into it. You just need to be sexy enough so that people who read it want to click. So, wow, 6 reasons why to travel in Italy. For centuries, millions of travelers have visited Italy to discover the final pleasures in life. Oh, okay, I want to click on this. Okay, so you need to take care of this because very often the title and meta description tag are not optimized. Same for H1 tag. And let's move on then to to the questions or interactions.